Welcome back to part 7 of the Stratocaster build. Yes, we're finally there. We're finally at the end. This one has really gone on. It's actually spanned 2 countries. And we're finally at the end. But we're not finished because there's so much more to come on this channel and you can be part of it. So I ask you, please subscribe. We've got a brand new build of a Telecaster which is already underway with my good friend Bart, and I'd so like you to be part of that. Anyway, let's finish this one. Part 7. Let's get some strings on. Now, people ask me about strings. They say, oh, Chris, what strings should I put on? I was thinking about putting on 12s or 14s because I hear they give you a better tone because the heavier strings ring better. Yeah, there's been quite a lot of research about this. In fact, I think Rick Beato, who's brilliant, if you're not already subscribed to him, do it. He did a thing, I think, about strings. I think he was concerned about the myths about this, and he was wondering whether strings make that big a difference. I think people tend to believe that heavier strings give you more tone, whatever that means. I mean, this whole thing about tone is very odd. I mean, a tone is made up of many things, strings being only one part of it. And Rick was concerned that using lighter strings gives you a weedier tone. You see what I just did? I chopped it off about just over 2 pegs away. Particularly with the first string, I always find that the best thing to do is to cut it relatively short because you can't get that many winds on the peg head. So chopping it short means you don't end up unwinding it and chopping it down again. I tend to use my index finger to hold the string in position, and then my middle or my third finger, my ring finger, to actually tension the string, and then I tighten up. I've done it this way for years, seems to work. So I've only put 1 string on and I'm already looking at it just to make sure that the string is fairly well centered down the side of the neck. And so far it seems okay, tolerable. We're not going to know how this goes until I get all the strings on, but that's exciting. That's the first twang from this guitar. And then with this one, maybe a little bit longer than the last one, although I don't want too many winds on this. It'll take too long and it'll overload the peg head. Squish that down. I use my trusty yellow one. I don't know why this is the oldest one I have. It's the cheapest. I don't know when I got it, but it was a long time ago. But it just seems to work, and it's fast, accurate. Getting a taste of the intonation already just by listening to the octave as opposed to the fretted note. I've also got an attachment that goes on my electric drill, which means you can do all this under battery power. But after breaking a few strings because I got too carried away or forgot, I sort of abandoned it. Once you break a string in a set, you have to break open a new set, and that's really annoying because you know you've just wasted $5 or $6 or whatever they cost. Here we go. I can already hear this buzzing as I put the strings in and it tunes up. I can hear it buzzing in the nut, but of course we haven't done anything with the nut yet, and that's a big part of the setup, so we'll come to that very shortly. I guess at some point I'm going to put a string tree on this as well. The string post just puts a little bit more tension on the B and E strings to hold them against the headstock. It stops them popping out of the nut and increases the angle over the nut. I haven't got this to tension yet, but I'm looking at this already and I can see that the strings are aligned beautifully on the neck. It's always a concern. You think, well, is that too close on one side? Have I got enough space on the bottom E string to give it the vibration to be able to fret it accurately? And I'm looking at it now and I'm actually very, very pleased. It's something you never know until you get to this point. And this point is the point where we have 6 strings on the guitar. Out of tune. It's funny. Out of tune, not tensioned, I can already tell it's resonant. I can already tell that it's not got, you know, massive nut buzzing problems and things like that. So we're off to a flying start on this, I think. Next thing I'm going to do is just bring it to pitch and get it under the proper pressures that it needs to be under for us to assess where it really lies. Now, to get the guitar up to pitch, I need some sort of reference tone. And you can get apps with it on, you can try and use a guitar tuner, but you don't really know where you're starting with a guitar tuner until you're actually close to where you need to be, which is a bit annoying. But I've got an Amazon Alexa in the workshop, so I can just say, Alexa, guitar tuner.
Okay, I will play each string 4 times, starting with the low E.
Thank you. So we're going to have to refine that somewhat. Yeah, we need to do so many things. It's difficult to know where to start when you get like this. You think, oh my goodness, I've spent weeks and weeks and weeks making this guitar and it doesn't work. Now that there are so many factors making it not work, we just have to stop, calm ourselves down and not try and go straight for gain. The problem is the strings are not stretched in. And also the bridge itself has moved because it's the first time the bridge has been under any form of pressure. I got quite a lot of feedback about the 3D printer. I think I was initially quite confused about what I could do with it. And the fact is, the more I got into it, the more I realized there's an endless amount of things that I can do with it. And this is just some of the things that I've made with it. I actually printed out a sort of lean stand for one of my editing consoles because I always found it was too flat. So I printed this out, which just puts it on a nice angled rake, makes it much more comfortable to use. This has been a godsend. This is a neck support, which has got 2 heights, one like that and one like that, which is really good for when I'm setting up the neck. So that's a brilliant thing. Shelf brackets. I never thought I'd be printing shelf brackets, but here you are. This is one of my printed shelf brackets. I had a big problem with my bandsaw. I managed to cut a piece of wood that lifted it up momentarily, then slammed it back down into the bed because it got jammed. And it smashed the surround around the blade, the plastic surround, into 1,000 pieces, and I had to reassemble it. But I realized that just with about 2 or 3 simple measurements, I could actually go upstairs and using the incredible little program called Tinkercad, which is free to use online, I could very quickly knock up a design for a replacement plate to go in the bandsaw. I think that this is one of the real strengths of 3D printing, the fact that you can very quickly make replacement parts and additions. The printer itself, there's a little rack on the side of it where I can put the tools and the glues and things like that, and on the other side there's a couple of brackets for holding the lid. These files came with the printer itself and they're available online as well, so I was able to print these extra parts to augment the printer. This is something I can screw to the wall, which I can hang an electric drill or a hammer from, so that's amazing. I've printed out 2 of these, they're really good. These are little gauges so that you can work out what sort of bolts you've got, what size they are. This is a right angle bracket. You can use this if you're building a cabinet and you want to get the corners perfectly square. You print out one of these. It even comes with the printed knobs themselves and it just snaps together. So I made 2 of those and I've still got to use them, but I'm sure they will be very handy. 2 attempts to print out a Stratocaster's trem cover. The first one I printed out, I realized I printed a left-hand one. It happens. And the second one seems to be fine, but not sure I'm keen on a grey cover. I mean, if you're stuck and you can't get hold of the right parts quickly enough and you want a cover, you can just print one out. Amazing. This is very useful. When you're making a neck from scratch, you want to put this on the 1st fret to get the profile at that point, and this one goes at the octave on the 12th fret, so you can get the profile of the neck pretty much bang on. Incredibly useful, even if it's just a starting point. String winders are cheap, but you know, you've got to order them and they arrive invariably 3 or 4 days after you need them, or you lose them, and I've lost a lot of these, I have to say. So this was a great thing to print out. All I had to do was to glue the pin in the end, and there we go. And the answer to the conundrum, what was I printing? Well, many of you got this. I was in fact printing out the bobbins for Telecaster pickups. And who knows, one day I may get out my pickup winder, which I got at the start of my first ever online YouTube build. And I built the guitar because it hadn't turned up, but now I've got bobbins, so that may turn up in a future episode. Anyway, enough of this 3D nonsense. Let's get back to building guitars. So let's start with the bridge. I need to drop the bridge just a little using the 2 adjusters on the back. So hopefully this will pull the strings back down and increase the tension. Right, well, we've got it into some sort of tuning shape. So very easy to get very frightened at this point and think, oh God, this is not going to work. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, it won't stay in tune. The intonation's awful. It's all of those things, but it's never been a guitar before. Also, the strings are still stretching in. So what is the problem? Why is this guitar out of tune? It's got strings on it. It's got a nut. It's got a bridge. I've adjusted the bridge. But it still sounds terrible and it's not holding tune. And when I play it, the chords are discordant and out of tune. So they're drifting and I don't know what it is, but I do know what it is. I know exactly what it is. The reason is the nut is not cut. And until the nut is cut correctly and the strings are at the right height over the fretboard, you're pulling the strings down onto the fretboard and you're pulling them a long way. And as you pull them down, you're effectively retensioning them. All you're trying to do is to fret them, but in the process of fretting those strings, you're putting them out of tune because the travel is too far. The other problem is the B and E strings are not going over the bridge at the right angle, so they're not tensioned correctly. They need a string tree on them of some description to pull them down to get them into the right place to be in tune, and also tension correctly. So probably that's the place to start, and then we'll start working on the nut. So if my memory serves me correctly, the correct place to put this is just below the A tuner, between the E and the B string. And I've got a 1mm drill here, and I'm just going to drill a hole through here, being very careful not to go through the headstock, because that would really ruin my day. There we go. It has a little spacer which goes on here, and the screw goes through the string tree, through the spacer, and then we go into the headstock. And then using the correct screwdriver, we tighten it up. But before I do so, I'm very careful to reduce the tension on the strings because I need to be able to push them down and not break them. Here we go. Right, now I can feel it's taken up the pressure and it's actually pulling the strings down. And if I pluck the strings, yeah, it's mimicking the angle. So I'm not going to tighten it up too much. I don't want to over tighten it. Also don't want the screw to arrive on the other side of the neck. So we have a string tree now on the B and E strings, and we can retune. It's not too bad, but it's still not very good. And the reason for that, as I said, is because the strings are being pulled down towards the frets rather than just resting just above them and just being fretted onto them without bending the strings a lot. Yeah, the bridge is up too high already, so I need to lower the bridge even more. I may even have to put another spring on it, which would be a first for me. But also we need to lower those bridge saddles to get the strings a bit lower so that the strings are more in line with the neck. That also reduces the amount we have to push them down to fret them. So let's do that. As is so often the case when I do close-up work, I now have to wear 2 pairs of glasses to get close enough. And I need to bring this bridge saddle down quite a lot, so I need to get right down here. I'm not quite sure how much I need to drop it at this stage, but it does seem to be quite a lot. I've seen people try and line saddles up in height, and that's absolutely not the thing you want to do. They're supposed to follow this curve. Now I've got it quite low down. It's not as low as it needs to be, and we may need to do some more work on that. Certainly will need retensioning after such a large drop. Well, that's better. So that's down to a very thick thumbnail's width, possibly 2 above the fretboard. Yeah, maybe 2 mil. It's too high, but we need a good starting point, and at the moment it's way too high. And of course, as we drop this, I'm dropping the saddles flat, not dropping the saddles angled. Let's drop this D string quite a lot as well. I tend to drop them less and less as I get towards the bass side, because you need the room for the vibration as you get to the thicker strings. I'm just going to bring that up. As I say, I'm not doing this excessively. I'm not trying to produce a super low action straight out of the gate. In fact, I'm not particularly fond of a super low action overall, to be honest. Beginning to work. You see how we have to sort of nudge it into operation? It's not going to string up the first time and be perfectly in tune. This guitar is not set up yet, it's not intoned, the nut has not been cut yet, so we're still, you know, fair way away, but already I can feel that we're getting there. So I'm going to start attacking the nut, and for that I need my nut files, and I'll probably turn the guitar around so you can see it better. Some time ago, when I started doing this, I indulged myself. I bought myself a set of 3 Hosco nut slotting files. They were really expensive. I think they were about, I don't know, 70 or 80 quid. I don't know what that is in dollars, but it's a lot more. I thought, oh, this is a bit of a splash. Maybe I'm being a bit silly here. But in actual fact, these turned out to be one of the best investments of my entire career as a luthier. Hosco nut slotting files, buy them. But before we use them, there's something that I've noticed we need to do. The shaping of this nut is not great. It's a little bit squared off. It's not following the radius of the neck as it should do. It's a little bit high on each end. So I think what I need to do is to drop that down a bit. Before I do that, I am going to use my nut slotting files just to deepen some of these slots, just in case they disappear when I'm doing the roundover. I'm very happy with the slots that came in this nut. You can cut your own, you can get yourself a bare bit of plastic or bone and cut your own nut, absolutely fine. But this nut is a Strat nut, and it is the right era. It fits this neck, and the string spacing is just great for me. So I don't want to lose it. So I'm just going to cut those a little bit deeper. And to do that, I'm going to quickly select my thinnest one. It's actually a 10. So I'm just going to deepen that slot. Now, when you cut slots, don't cut them flat or parallel with the neck. Cut them so they're slightly inclined towards the headstock. That's a piece of information which is actually conspicuously missing from a lot of nut slotting videos. Right, now I've got that a little bit deeper, I'm just going to take a proper metalworking file, and I'm just going to carefully follow the contour of the neck. Now I've checked this, I do not want to take this down that much. It's about right already. I'm going to reduce a little bit of the outgoing side here, just to give it a nice shape. That's enough. And this side's a bit proud as well. Proud. Bristolian phrase, a bit proud. It means it's sticking up a bit. So I'm just going to take a bit off that side as well. Like all these things, nice and easy. Don't take too much of it at the same time. Do not scratch the finish. Right, I'm just going to chase the contour of the neck. Take that side off a bit. You'll watch a lot of luthiers' videos where they get a pencil or half a pencil and they put it on here and they will use that to scribe a line. You can do that, but I find that literally just running a good quality ruler across it will show you as well. So no need to do the half pencil trick if you don't have half a pencil. I don't have half a pencil. So I'm pretty happy with the way that that nut looks in profile now. So time to put the strings back in. Plonk that in there. Now this is a really difficult thing to show. I've got them back up to some sort of pitch. It's not too close, and I can just see that the bottom E, not too bad, the A string, a bit too high, D, a bit high but not too far away, G, a little bit high, B, a little bit high, E, a little bit high. So they're all a little bit high, but none of them are actually that far out. I'm sure we've all actually owned guitars with an action as bad as this, but we can improve on that. So I'm just gonna, again, at an angle, knock a little bit carefully out of the E and check it just by tapping on it. You've got to be careful by using your eyes, because what happens is the string actually reflects off of the fret and doubles the distance. So it looks, if you look at the string you can see and the reflection of the string, that's double the distance that it actually is. So you've got to be careful you don't get deceived by that. But tapping it with your finger just to feel the movement, I believe that is the way to do it. And we're still a little way away, but we've got to be careful to blow away the dust, because we don't want it sitting on dust and giving us effectively a false reading. So we're getting close with the E, and as an initial setup, I'm just going to hope that I get it close enough but not too far. If it goes too far, we're either into a new nut or some radical filling. So this string now, you maybe can't see it, but this string is now around about half the height it was before, and it's now well lower than the B string. That'll do. Right, B string. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. Okay. 17, G string. I have a tendency to go too far on this, I must admit. I have to stop myself before I think it's done. I thought I needed more on that, but I stopped myself. Yeah, that's it. I can't believe it needs more than that. No, that's enough. .46, this is the last one, bottom E. There's a lot of misunderstanding about nuts, in so much as that people believe that this string should sit in a slot with the walls of the slot either side of the string. It's not actually the case. What's supposed to happen is the slot is supposed to just hold the string gently from the sides. The string is not meant to go right down into the slot. On a lot of diagrams you see that the string is not actually buried in the nut at all. It's like half above the nut and half in the nut. Yes, that's enough. Right, let's have a look. Wow. That is incredible. Now the guitar is playing in tune. I think I just found my new favourite guitar. Welcome back to Philosophy Corner of France. It's been a year and a half now since we left the UK. This is it. 30 years, man and boy. And it's a decision that we revisit often. Leaving your homeland to go and live permanently in another country. I'm never doing this again. This is it. With a different language and a different culture. It's not for the faint-hearted. No. It's a big move, and it's not something that you do lightly. And, you know, there's always a thought that maybe we should just pack up and go home. This is not worth it, that it's too much hassle.
Just wanted to say, I'm not moving again, okay? So that's it. We're staying in France.
It's too complicated. We'll never learn the language. We'll never have friends here. We'll never achieve the sort of settlement in our minds that we have when we live at home. But to be honest, on reflection, I don't think there's a single thing that I regret about it. When we packed up and left home, you know, 18 months ago, I was full of optimism and terrified at the same time. Here we are. We have a wonderful home. We have more friends here than we've ever had around us. When we had great neighbours and friends in London, but here we have other people, other groups that we are members of that we enjoy immensely. And it's just fantastic to be here. And I was reading a message from a friend on Facebook the other day, and he was just destroyed by the racism which is rising in the UK. And I know it's happening in America and it's happening in France to a degree as well. And with a Canadian wife, he was also subject to some sort of racism there as well. And my wife is Polish, so we were aware of this sort of tension around foreign people, which, when you think about it, we're all foreign to some sort of degree. And certainly, at least here, Ella and I are both foreign, and we deal with it together. Anyway, that's enough about us. You know, this is a guitar making channel after all. So let's get back to the final part of the build. Intonation is the last step in the setup of the guitar, and it's probably the most misunderstood. A lot of people get themselves incredibly knotted up over intonation. Intonation is purely the process of getting the guitar in tune with itself, and you do that by playing an open string, a harmonic, and then fretting the string at that harmonic, at the octave. Okay, so let's just do it. So if I pluck the bottom E string, you can see on my strobe meter, it's moving a little, but it's largely stationary. That means it's tuned to E. If I then play a harmonic, it's about the same. So it's not tracking up and down all over the place. When I then fret the note, it's pretty much staying stationary as well. So we've got the open string, harmonic, fretted string. All three of them are not causing the strobe meter to run off rampantly up or down. So that string is intoned. So we go to the A string. Good. Same, obviously. It's moving up. So what we need to do is to tune it down by making the string longer. So I'm just going to tighten up this bridge saddle. When I tighten up the bridge saddle on the A string, it moves the saddle back a bit, making the string longer, so therefore the pitch will go down. So, retune it. But same. Needs to go still a bit shorter. I can actually see where the E string is. Getting there. A little bit more. We need to make that string just a bit longer. Pretty good. Pretty good. This is very often the case that the G is a sort of reset, because we go from wound strings to straight strings. And straight strings and wound strings intonate differently. Beautiful. Perfect. Wouldn't you believe it? Perfect. And just like that, the guitar is intoned. So magically, after a year, started this in London, finished it in France, and it's done. It's got a few things to go on it. It needs some Strat buttons, it needs a selector switch, but we're done. There's a couple of holes to be drilled, that's it. And here it is. It just goes bang. Oh, treble pickup. Position 2. Middle position. Well, I guess that's the end of the series, isn't it, really? There'll just be the bit at the end where I talk to you about what's coming up, and then the music will play, and that will be the end of this one. And boy, what a long one it's been. It's been a year and a bit, year and a half nearly, since we left the UK, and here we are in France, and finally it's finished. There was a time when I thought I would never get there, but I'm glad we did, and it's been an amazing privilege to get back in the workshop and share it all with you. There's plenty more to come. I'm now set up to do this much more easily than it was before. So I hope there's much more fantastic content to come. Thank you, thank you, thank you, all of you, for the incredible praise and good wishes. And I hope that you will stay with me, and I will see you all very soon. So from the Stratocaster and I, see you next time. And the next time is just around the corner. Bart and I are building a Telecaster together. It's already started, and I want you to come along with us. So please subscribe, and I will see you very soon.